Thanks to all of you that went to the OTR Essential Facebook page and posted your questions. Again, you gave me enough of them where it looks like I'm going to do 2 parts, so this will be part number 1. Thank you. Giving me some free, easy content. That is always much appreciated. Doesn't require a whole lot of thought. Hopefully your questions don't require a whole lot of thought. Just not much in the thinking mood today, if you will. Okay, so let's get going here. Chris Johnson asked first, and I need to get closer. Apparently, I'm getting older than I think, and I'm having trouble seeing the half screen on Facebook. Would Goldust have worked as a WWF champion in 1996? Maybe more so as a championship opponent chasing a babyface champion, but I'm not sure if he would have worked as a champion himself. Luke Wynn-Staley, who's better at intergender boxing, Chris Brown, Chris Benoit, or Heath Slater? Is Heath Slater going to have to choke a bitch? Stone Cold Steve Austin loves to slam those beers and women's faces' jaws with his fisticles. So I'll go with Austin. Although I still have to wonder, is Heath Slater going to have to choke a bitch? Mark Murphy, would you mind Daniel Bryan winning the Royal Rumble and facing Lesnar for the title at WrestleMania 31? Yeah, kind of. Alright, let's see how I can piss people off on this. I don't want to see Daniel Bryan come right back in and be hot-shotted in and win the freaking Rumble just so that way he can go on to Mania and freaking beat Lesnar when he was struggling to beat Kane when he was the champion last year. I just don't think the dynamics worked that well, especially because there was no real encounter in the first place between Lesnar and Bryan. It would have been different if Bryan lost the strap to Lesnar at SummerSlam, and that's when he was hurt, and then he missed that time he was coming back to the Rumble. The dynamics are entirely different, and that's a different conversation. But no, I wouldn't put Daniel Bryan right back into winning the Royal Rumble. I really would not. Sorry. Sean McGlinchey, who in your opinion most deserves to win the 2015 Royal Rumble? I really don't know if one person deserves to win it more than anybody else. Based off of the current environment and the way things are set up, I might go with Ryback. That might be the best option that I see. Nick Anderson. What will the Bucks do if all of a sudden Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston don't declare? Probably draft Leonard Williams or Shane Ray and then pray and wish to God they could play quarterback as well and then cry themselves to sleep at night. I would assume one, if not both of them, will declare, so it won't be a problem for the Bucks. They just have to pick which guy is going to be their long-term franchise quarterback. Sean Wolfenden. Who would win in a quad on a pole match? Vince, because he has 2 that he ruptured at the same time. Let's see here. That question requires too much thought, as does this one. Eric Dennis, thank you. Keeping it simple here. Who do you think John Cena had better matches with, Shawn Michaels or CM Punk? I actually think CM Punk. I actually do. I thought they had really good chemistry in the ring together. Michael Williamson, do you see Daniel Bryan winning the Rumble and facing Brock Lesnar? No, I do not see it. Now, this is not a question of whether or not I would do it or would like to see it. This is just a matter of if I see it or not, Michael Williamson. The answer is no, I do not. I just, at this particular moment, and things can always change, but at this particular moment, I just can't see the WWE putting a lot of faith into a guy that missed almost a year of action, and they might not be sure about long-term how he's going to hold up medically. Now they kind of have an excuse to hold him back a little bit. They'll still feature Bryan in a big way. They'll still feature him as a star, but they won't ever feature him as the man ever again. I don't personally believe. So no, I don't see it happening at this particular moment. And I'm not sure even if they did, if that would be the best decision at this particular moment. Jesse Schwab, most unattractive diva in WWE history. There's been several of them. For me, Paige goes up to the top of the list. I'll let everybody get pissed off. Oh, just because she's not a black bitch, that means the Schleg Daddy doesn't like her. Even though my all-time favorite diva was Trish Stratus, I would have tried to put all types of babies in her before she lost her ass. I'd fuck the shit out of Ivory. There's plenty of white divas that I would have done too, I promise you. But her, and then like Brie Bella. I look at Brie Bella and I'm like, that's the plainest looking bitch I've ever seen, and she's supposed to be a diva. Oh. Ugh. No thanks. I mean, there are others too. Some of you are going to be like Moolah and Mae Young. Well, look at their advanced age, and attraction is not just simply about the physical outward appearances. Moolah and Mae Young looked like two gals that knew how to have a good time, especially Mae Young. I promise you. They probably Velveteen rub a mean dick. Anyways, moving on. Cynthia Davidson, do you think Hulk Hogan slept with Miss Elizabeth? And do you think WWF dropped the ball with Sid Justice in 91-92? Could have happened. May have happened. Could have been Randy's paranoia about Hulk sleeping with him that got to him. Could have been the fact that Hulk actually did sleep with her. You know, Hulk has a reputation for sleeping with his so-called friends' ladies, so it's possible. I'm not dismissing it. And yes, they dropped the ball tremendously with Sid Justice. I mean, he was supposed to be that next top babyface, and they just turned him heel to working with Hogan and then forget the rest of it. Let's see here. Joe Gutfeld, are you planning to do a review series on Saturday night's main event? No. No, I'm not. George Melicharik, if WrestleMania isn't the time for Roman Reigns, then when should WWE drop the title to him? If WrestleMania wasn't the time for him, then you would have options like SummerSlam, Survivor Series, WrestleMania 32. I mean, sometime within the next year, that would probably be the time. If he wasn't ready now, how much more ready would he be in 4 or 5 months at SummerSlam or another couple months after that Survivor Series? You might have to wait all the way to WrestleMania 32. Bradley Garrett, do you think Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan will work better at WrestleMania 31? Or Brock possibly dropping the belt to Cena for Cena versus Bryan at WrestleMania 31? What? And I knew this was going to happen as soon as Daniel Bryan came back. Everybody's going to be like, he should win the Rumble. He should go on to face Lesnar. He should become the WWE World Heavyweight Champion because he's the best motherfucking wrestler in the world. No, I just don't think it will work at all. I'm just being honest. And out of the two matches, I don't know how the dynamics would work for Cena versus Bryan at a WrestleMania when the attraction wasn't really there for SummerSlam, and that kind of disappointed the WWE. In terms of Brock versus Daniel Bryan, that might have more elements to it because it'd be a little more David versus Goliath. So out of those two, that would probably work more. And that would also ensure, I will say this in Daniel Bryan's defense, and the defense of thinking about doing that, is at least in that case, you know that nobody would really be behind Brock Lesnar, that most everybody would be behind Daniel Bryan. That's a good thing. Micah Muhammad, who would you have in the Divas division today? Oh, who would I have in the Divas division today? I really am not that familiar with the ladies on the independent scene, frankly. And frankly, it doesn't really matter who's in the Divas division based off of what the WWE does with them. I mean, that's the truth of the matter. Brian Yule, did Survivor Series die after 2002? It's most definitely on life support. That's for damn sure. Josh Giles, do you think the Brawl for All could work today with the increased attention MMA is getting? Or would it be just as stupid an idea now as it was then? And I've talked about this before. I think it'd be just as stupid of an idea now as it was then, maybe even more idiotic. Dominic Martinez, what would you do with Bad News Barrett this year? Pray like God that the dude doesn't get hurt. I'd be very tentative in how I pushed him initially. I would keep him doing his Bad News Barrett gimmick, but as a baby face, because I told you before many times that was a great baby face gimmick. I'd be very cautious with him initially. I'd enter him into a program for WrestleMania against somebody, so that way he's featured a little bit. But I'm not putting him in a big program right away because, again, even though he has a lot of the tools and he has a lot of the ability to become a top guy, dude can't stay healthy. And that matters, and that counts for something. And I can't sit there and put a lot of eggs into his basket until he establishes to me, proves to me, if I'm running the company, that he could stay healthy. It's just that simple. Matt Montmini, is John Cena the Jay Cutler of WWE? I don't know about all that. I mean, I guess if I wanted to say yes, it would be from the standpoint of people year after year after year try to tell me that Jay Cutler has all the tools when clearly at age 31 and 9 seasons in the league, if he had all the tools and he actually put them together, that includes the tools of having the mind for the position and the leadership for the position, he would have done so already. Therefore, he's not, and fucking morons need to stop saying that shit because every time they open their mouths trying to defend this asshat, the modern day Jeff George, they look like a moron when they do so, and they just continue to bury themselves doing so. If you're comparing it in terms of that standpoint to John Cena being the greatest of all time, and oh my God, he's so necessary to the WWE's overall bottom line, is he really? How do you know? You have nothing to compare it off of because he's been at the top for 9 years. And frankly, if business has decreased over the past 9 years when he's at the top, wouldn't that necessarily indicate that maybe he's not the best thing for it? So I think he's overrated in that sense, just like Jay Cutler's overrated on many, many different levels, period. So there's some similarities there, but, you know, Cena is better, much better at what he does than what Jay Cutler is at what he does. David Dye, is it time for the Saints to move on from Drew Brees? Wow. I knew he didn't have the best year, but I didn't expect that type of question like that. No, I mean, it's kind of one of those things, man. It's the good and bad of having an elite Hall of Fame quarterback. You got to ride with the good and you got to ride with the bad, and you really just can't move on from him. You got to let him play out as long as you can, either A, until his contract runs out, or B, until he retires. And if you're the Saints, you just got to hope maybe that you can find a guy that you can get ready in the wings in the next 2 or 3 years, and that Brees rides out that long, and then he retires where he takes the decision out of your hands. You can't just move on from Drew Brees. So even Drew Brees in a bad year is still better than more than half of the quarterbacks in the National Football League. They could do a better job of protecting him with an offensive line. That would be a good place to start. That defense could not suck so bad. That would be another good place to start. I mean, it's not just Drew Brees. Drew Brees was bad this year at times because there was too much pressure on him to try and do too many things. And frankly, he could use better weapons on the outside too. Just saying. It'd also help if Jimmy Graham would have stayed healthy, and Jimmy Graham at times didn't play like a total puss. All right, so Josh Bruner, 2015 Royal Rumble idea. Cena beats Brock clean, no cash in from Seth, and Orton wins the Rumble. Yes! 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 John Cena, Randy Orton, WWE World Heavyweight Championship, finally at a WrestleMania! Don't think that's not a possibility. All of y'all can think that's funny all you want. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not even saying it's likely to happen. But at some point in time, somebody in the room, John Cena, Randy Orton, has brought that up, that would be the ideal main event for WrestleMania 31, and Vince has pondered and considered it. If you don't think that's happened, you're fooling your fucking selves, and you know it. Christian Guillen, is there a likely chance that Sting could possibly enter the Royal Rumble? Could happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they'll just save him for the big match at Mania, frankly. Mark Barnes, does Hulk Hogan call his wife brother during sex? Either brother or Brooke. Hey ho! All right, so thanks you guys for sending in your questions for the Facebook Friday Q&A. This was part 1. Part 2 will be coming up soon, so stay tuned for that. He calls her brother and Brooke. Brother Brooke.